tall, gangly thing?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to High Roll Radio, episode number 22. My name is Nick Gangly DePasquale. I am your host, and joined by me tonight is my constant co-host, Sullivan, SPICYAPPIES. Your last name's not
Mr.
public,
D's
right?
Nuts.
It's not. I forget. I feel like I've accidentally.
Oh, I think Nature's doxed me in chat one day because he was like, "Man, you have the coolest name of all time." Hey, my last name. You can say my last name.
It's a very cool name for the uninitiated. Is that the word? Yeah. For the uninitiated,
that works.
Appy's full name is Sullivan Brock, which is it's such a perfect name. It sounds like a cartoon villain or something like that. I remember the first time I found out your last name, I think we weren't even that close at the time, and I messaged you back on Discord saying, "This is the coolest name I've ever heard in my life."
I guess I'm just too used to it because is it the first name though? I guess it's the combination. I don't know. I'm too used to it. Also, have I ever told you my middle name?
Tell me it's like Percy or something.
It's Nicholas.
Is it really?
It's literally your name. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it's crazy that your middle name is also
Sullivan
you are
Brock.
Nick Sullivan Brock DePasquale.
Yeah, it is. No, mine is Joseph. Lame.
I can't see you.
It's Joe Bookmark. My middle name
by
is.
the way.
What'd you say? You can't see.
I can just see the starting soon live thing on the.
Oh, because I
if you
sent you the wrong feed. You're good. Now you can see it, right? Now you see you and me.
Changed yet?
It should have changed. Okay, I have to stop.
Refresh it. Oh,
yeah.
Pause chat. Oh no.
Hold on. Here we go.
Oh, there we go.
All right.
Okay.
All right. I'm not cutting that one out though. Sorry, podcast listeners.
That's okay.
I'm done editing our podcast. You're getting
raw
it raw.
and unedited content.
That's right. High Roll Radio, unrated. Okay, let me give the spiel. So this is High Roll Radio. This is a live call-in show. We talk all about teamfight tactics, what's going on in the game, out of the game, in the scene, and that's pretty much it. So if you're watching right now live on Twitch, you can join us on the show. All you have to do in the chat is use !High Roll. That will put you into my Discord. From there, all you have to do is go into the Submit Takes channel. Type in whatever you want to talk about. It can be a question, it can be an opinion, it can just be a discussion point that you want to bring up on the show. It is the end of set 10 right now, which means that we're going to be reflecting a lot over on the last 4 months and then previewing a little bit about set 11. But this is a really great episode for anyone who just kind of wants to come on the show and, I don't know, vent or chat about something in particular about set 10. Mm-hmm. It's the most open-ended episode we're going to have for a while. So definitely encourage you, throw your takes in. Once you put your take in, go into the waiting room and mute yourself. Don't deafen. If we like your take and we want to bring you on the show, we'll let you know ahead of time, and then we'll bring you onto the show on Discord. That's pretty much it, right? Yeah. I think that's the spiel.
Covered it all.
Okay,
cool. We're good at this now. Or I guess you're good.
No, we're not. We're actually so bad at it. We have had so many episodes lately where we were not in Discord, or where like Discord wasn't working, or where we had to like cut out minutes of the actual episode in post because we were just not prepared. So hopefully this is not one of those episodes. So before we go into the actual TFT stuff, this is a good time to kind of chat about what we've been up to, I guess, even outside of the game, right? We're in between sets right now. Neither one of us have been grinding super, super hard, especially not like on ladder trying to climb ranked or anything. I know you've been playing PvE, but what else have you been up to, I guess, like big picture in life?
Yeah, I'm playing a lot of Elden Ring lately. The DLC is coming out soon, so I decided to pick it back up. That game rocks, but God, I literally don't think I've come closer to having aneurysm in my entire life than dying to fucking Beastman clergy or Beast Clergyman. It's whoever, if you don't know who that is. So, and someone in chat knows what boss that is. It is the most frustrating thing I've ever dealt with in my life, and I've died to it probably about 75 times in the last day and a half. So, yeah. Other than that, Alyssa and I, SPICYAPPIES and I, are getting a dog on Friday. We've been going to visit him. So he has like. There's like some deep. I told Nick about this, but there's some deep lore with the dog where he's very afraid of men. He very evidently was abused at some point from a shelter. So he's this big half golden retriever, half half Rottweiler. I think he's mostly golden retriever. I guess like you can't be more. He can't be mostly. He looks much more like a golden retriever than Rottweiler, but he's half and half. He's very sweet though, and he's been getting used to me over the course of like 7 weeks. But the thing is, the shelter is like 2 hours away one way, so it's like a 4-hour round trip, and we've gone literally like 7 times, and it's been. Yeah, it's been quite the process getting him used to me. But the last time he like let me pet him he let me pet him on his head for the first time. He like cozied up next to me and it played fetch with me. It was so the amount of investment to have that payoff felt so good. And Friday we are going up. We are taking him back. We're letting him meet Maurice, who is his birthday today, by the way. Our cat's birthday today. Happy birthday, Maurice! You're a real one. He has cat food today. Yeah, I also gave him a piece of cheese because he really likes cheese, but we don't give it to him because he's already overweight, so he probably doesn't need more provolone. But today he got some provolone. But yeah, I'm enjoying life, just chilling, taking it easy in PBE. I mean, you've been kind of on. You say you weren't on the grind, but you kind of were on the grind until just a minute ago.
Yeah. I guess not like the TFT specific grind. I guess like not the ranked ladder, but I definitely have been. It's been a crazy. February was just insane. It started not with TFT, but with Genesis. I was working that event for anyone who follows Smash. I was out in California. I'm the creative director for like the video team for Genesis. So I was working that. And then after that, I casted the regional finals. And then from there, I went to the World Championship, not as talent, but I worked with the social media team. I worked with Flex. If anyone who knows who that is, he was K3 Soju's editor. I feel like he was like the first editor in TFT where he made people laugh. I don't know if he still is. I don't think so. I don't know, but he's amazing. Yeah, I love Flex. And Worlds, I mean, it was just like a surreal experience. So that said, it's been like a crazy month. And so I'm so glad to just be home and chilling a little bit before things pick up again. But you know, it's been a crazy month for sure. Hold on, but on the dog thing though, because I want to talk about this for a second. First off, wait, did you say the dog's name?
His name is Sirius.
Nice.
Which is, it's like a little cringe because Harry Potter. But someone in chat today said they thought of the star first, so that's what we're gonna go with. I mean, we don't want to change his name because he's very used to it. So his name is Sirius, like the star. If someone asks me what Harry Potter is, I don't know what it is.
Wait, I don't think it's cringe to have like a dog named after a movie franchise that you enjoy.
I don't either. I think specifically I just don't like J.K. Rowling at all. So that association just makes me
I see.
A little upset. But that's okay.
Yeah. I understand. That makes sense. Do you know that I am very afraid of dogs?
You told me that. Yeah. You are. The thing is,
I'm moving past it.
Yeah. Well, you should probably never meet Sirius because he's gonna be afraid of you. You're gonna be afraid of him, and it's gonna be a really bad time for both of you.
We're a match made in heaven. What do you mean?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, to be fair, I didn't think I was afraid of big dogs until I met him, and I was like, wait a second. I'm like, I got like a little afraid of a big dog that was afraid of me, right? Because he like would growl a little bit if I got near him, and like he was just uncomfortable and like a little jumpy. And so getting used to that was like, it was a big thing for me too to get to like, you know, be in a position where I was willing to get like close to him, and it was a cool process. But I think most people are afraid of big dogs for what it's worth. Big dogs kind of terrifying.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's so much power. Yeah. They're like horses. There's too much power in that animal. Okay,
there's too much power. Okay, can someone quote that? Horses. There's too much power in that animal. Gangly TFT.
I also do want to say, outside of TFT, I'm currently on Oathbringer, the 3rd book in the Stormlight Archive series.
How are you doing with that?
Okay. I was not enjoying it. I was like 15 hours in, and I was like, this is not fun. Personally, I became less interested in Shallan's story after book 1. I don't know if that's a hot take. I like am really, anytime it's like Shallan POV, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so done with this. It's like, anyway, what just happened in the book made me feel much more attached to it. We could talk about it off stream, but I'm kind of back on it. I'm feeling good.
Let's go.
Yeah. The book is definitely more exciting, and I got to get through it because I'm so far in now. I can't give up on it. Anyway, I feel like we gotta lock in, as they say.
Isn't this the not locked in episode?
That's true. This is literally.
Yeah. No, okay, we're locking in. Fuck it. Okay, TFT. Set 10, set 11.
Let's do it. I know there is a take already that's right off the bat about World's coverage. I know, and about some of the criticisms that Bryce had on Don't Talk If You Don't Know. I didn't listen to the episode yet, so I don't know what his specific criticisms were. He did tell me that he might be able to call in later and just like chat. So we could save that for if he wanted to call in maybe, and maybe we get Dehua in as well, because Dehua does have this take. I want to talk about this though, and talk about like World's coverage and broadcast stuff, especially because I was there. But let's kind of maybe recap Set 10 a little bit, buy some time. If it looks like Bryce isn't going to be calling into the show anyway, then we'll just bring Dehua on and talk about it, just the three of us.
Yeah, I also didn't watch the Don't Know, so I also have no take. Having Bryce here for that would probably be a positive thing.
Yeah. I think I know what Bryce's take is, but I don't want to misrepresent it. Okay, so let's first just talk about Set 10 as a whole. I guess starting with Milala, because that's the easiest kind of like big picture storyline. If anyone is watching this right now and has not been following TFT for the entirety of the last 4 months, let me just paint a picture for you right now. Set 10 has had, beyond the shadow of a doubt, the most dominant performance from a single player in any specific set in TFT. I would go so far to say worldwide. I don't know.
I think it will probably be ever. This will probably be the faker of TFT has been crowned.
Yes. Milala started off the set winning a worldwide Vegas LAN event, going first place there in a checkmate format, super dramatic. Then went on to win the first North American Cup, the KDA Cup, made final day at the Heartsteel Cup. He didn't do too great after that, but he did make final day, which is still a great accomplishment. And then from there, went second, tied for first, went second at the regional finals, ultimately going to the World Championship, where he wins the entire event, once again winning on checkmate. Which, the fact that he won on checkmate twice is I don't know. Actually, I don't know if that's more impressive or less impressive. It's certainly more
Either
dramatic.
way, it's impressive.
Yeah. But Milala wins 3 events, ties for first on another one, 2 of which were global events. The others were North American, which at this point in time, I think people would just agree is the strongest, if not the top 2 strongest regions in the entire world. Milala, like you said, Appies, may never see someone ever top a record like this, but having 4 wins in a single set, or I guess 3 wins and then tying for first and then losing on tiebreakers for the others is pretty unprecedented. No, it's entirely unprecedented in TFT. Oh, Bryce is in chat right now too, so we'll make sure we should try and get him in. But yeah, let's just chat about Milala for a minute here. Give me your thoughts on, I guess, Milala's run, big picture stuff.
I see to say that I've been a Milala. I think since the beginning, if you talk about players on Halo Radio, you can go way back, and you'll hear me saying like in random the tournaments sets in the past, right? That Milala has always been a player that I've like man, this guy's good. Like he's one of the people who I'm in a lobby with him. I've like, oh shit, I'm in lobby with Milala kind of thing. And he finally showed it. I feel like this set, I don't feel like he got like a ton better this set than he has been. I think he like a couple of things put into place maybe, but he's been really good for a long time. This set he was just a closer. He was an absolute fucking closer, and that's all you need sometimes when you're that good. I mean, he had literally the most insane run we'll ever see in more than likely, right? In TFT, and you know, I think as far as him as a player goes, this set he's very clearly the best player in the world. And so you can say that just in terms of results, but I think you don't get that consistent results without also being like the best player in the world. So yeah, he's just a beast. I mean, congratulations to Milala. I feel like he's definitely one of the more deserving players to have this kind of run after what it was a pretty long dry spell, right? Because I think the storyline of Milala in Vegas was that he was a choker, or like he couldn't close at all, and now he's closing out literally every single tournament every time, set on the world stage, which is insane. So he deserves it. He's an awesome guy.
I'm gonna bring Bryce in from the waiting room now, so that we don't have to do it later. But I do want to continue on. I want to continue on this Milala run for a little bit, because the thing that stood out to me, I don't know if people saw this, but I got to do a long form interview. Also, welcome, Bryce. How you doing? I don't know if you're here. If you want to just check your mic at some point, make sure that we can hear you. All right. Well, while you figure that out, I will continue talking about Milala. I got the chance to do a long form interview with Milala. Also, I'll link it in chat as well in case anyone didn't watch it. But I asked him like what changed since, you know, set 8, set 7, where you made it to all these final lobbies and never was able to clutch it out. And he wasn't entirely sure. He also wasn't entirely sure why he is better now or what he does better than the average player in the field. He does kind of feel like the thing that changed for him was that he wasn't playing better this set. It's just that he wasn't playing worse. And that is like when he reflects on set 7, set 8, it wasn't that he wasn't able to do it then. He actually does see himself as a choker, which is funny because I think there's a lot of players who could have the exact same results as him in set 7 and set 8, and you wouldn't brand them as a choker. You would brand them as a rising star. Like, who is this person who's making all these final lobbies in a game of variance, right? Where going first is certainly not the metric of someone succeeding in the game. So why did we choose to brand Milala as a choker and not someone else? I think it's an interesting question.
Well,
but
isn't it because he just always bombed final days? Like, if you consistently make final day, but then you always bomb, then it suggests you're playing worse on final days.
But so does Robin. Like, Robin has made more final lobbies in regional finals than anyone else in North American history. He also has gone 8th in final lobbies at regional finals, much more than anybody else in the entire scene. But nobody sees
a similar thing too, right? Where he like gets the final lobby in like a tournament, or even like Worlds, right? And he just like plays significantly worse because he's nervous.
Okay, so wait, this is actually interesting because I didn't know that, Gangly. You should do like a piece on that or something, because maybe Robin's a choker and we just have never actually talked about it.
Is Milala just the first closer in TFT history? Is that what it is?
Maybe. I mean, I think
that was a new breed of.
I think in Robin's case, the fact that he had the set 5 run at regionals it bought him the forgiveness, right? Nobody cares if he went 8th in set 4 and set 7, and I think set 6 as well. Or he went 8th in 2 lobbies, I think, and 7th in 1. Like, he did very poorly in many regional finals, but he made it there and nobody considered him a choker. Milala has a very similar story, and everyone is just like, this guy cannot play on final day. He'll never make it there. And then this set, obviously, like, he changes, he changes the story.
In fairness, he was a big part of that narrative too. Like, he talked about it publicly multiple times, right? We had him on the podcast multiple times, and the big thing he would talk about himself is that he was a choker, and that he felt like he would get to these final days and the pressure would get to him and he'd play much, much worse.
That's important. I actually did not remember that. That's very important information then. Yeah, the fact that Milala was even in the moment able to recognize, because I don't know if you were here when I said it before, Bryce, but I did an interview with Milala and he had said, that he felt like he wasn't playing worse this set, which is pretty crazy to think that, like, oh yeah, if I just play at my level, I'll just win 2 international tournaments, go first to the KDA Cup, and then tie at the regional finals. But it does beg the question: how many more players are there like that in TFT in North America? That, like, if they actually are not playing worse than their average or their peak or whatever, would we see more players like Setsuko and Weijin and Dish Soap and Replay that we've seen perform so consistently over the last few sets?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think part of it also has to do with playstyles as well, right? Like, Milala, part of the reason why he doesn't know when he answers the question about finding edge, he can't answer the question of like where he's getting his edge from, is because he's not getting like edge in a specific bucket in the way that other people are getting edge in a specific bucket, in the way that, like, Appies can turn a game that like someone would like most players would go 7th or 8th, and he can like cook and turn it into a top 2. He's not like, finding crazy positioning swings in the way that like Ripple does, and can turn like can pick up like several placements in a single game off of positioning. He's actually similar to Weijin in that it's like an attempt at as close as we've come to like robotic TFT, where he's not really bringing a specific style or strength into a game. He's trying to like go in tabula rasa and like fully just like take what the game offers him based on his read on the meta. And so what that means is he's not going to have these like big swings where he's adding multiple placements. And so his style relies on him consistently not making mistakes so that he can maximize whatever placements the game is giving him in a given spot.
They're the same study group, right?
Yeah,
they do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sully, it's funny when Bryce is describing this, it makes me think of how when we did that video where you're reacting to the NAR reroll game, you talk about the fact that the reason you got into the spot.
Oh yeah, I made a bunch of mistakes in the early game. Yeah,
Exactly. The only reason you were in that spot to begin with was because you dug the hole yourself that you could dig yourself out of, right?
That's the secret. That's the secret. Like fucking dirt on that game is that it probably could have been like a solid fourth if I just didn't play. So
Yeah, but instead of a solid fourth, it
yeah.
was like one of the greatest games of all time. So worth.
Yeah.
New and the NARS, the same NARS in this set, kind of no socialite, but throws a boulder.
Oh,
2.0.
there
Oh,
you go.
does he? I played him twice
He
today
does
on
throw a
my board,
boulder.
and I not once looked at him to see him throw a boulder. I don't know. I swear, I think there's something wrong with me. Like, I know that it's a new set and everyone is learning this.
Transition.
I just,
Between
when I
sets.
start a new set, the first like 20 games, I just can't see anything. I have
Things
no
happen,
idea. Some people are fast learners. I am not. I just need to like, I'm very much like a slam your head against the wall until eventually you learn that the wall is hard and then you stop. That's my style of education.
We call that the Satsuko method of learning TFT.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
So just so you know, I have to leave in like 10. So if you want to cover the casting stuff, probably now or never.
Okay. Yeah. So you
wanna
did
get to Julian
see,
at the same time, or
what'd you say?
Huh?
do you want to get to Julian at the same time, the person who had the take, or
Dahua's no longer actually in the waiting room. If he does want to join, Dahua, if you're still here, feel free to hop back in the waiting room. I'm watching Discord right now if you want to hop in. Otherwise, I'm going to just present what you, okay, cool. You are here. So let me bring you in and then you can kind of present your take. And with Bryce here, he can respond to it. Hold on.
oh,
Here we go. All right. Dahua is here. Dahua, if you want to unmute, let us know where you're calling from and what you want to talk about.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't sure because, like, I just wanted to talk about, like, Worlds coverage and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of, like, what I said was basically, like, Bryce's take, I think, from the Don't Talk If You Don't Know episode from, like, with Milala and Bishop. And, oh, yeah, I'm calling from Delaware. So, yeah. But
Nice.
yeah, so essentially it's basically I've like I haven't been ever I don't like ever really watch like Worlds coverage, regionals coverage, just because I think it's like I personally don't find it entertaining, and it's I think when you look at like viewership numbers, it's kind of reflects that I think for a multi-wide audience, and I know one of the complaints which Bryce I think touched on during the Don't Talk If You Don't Know podcast was like maybe casters are not skilled enough to properly analyze the gameplay, and I guess so for reference I usually hang around GM low challenger when I do play TFT. And then also this could be for other reasons, maybe like these events are not like hyped up well enough, and I just want to say I do have respect for all the casters and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I do hope of it, like it's like becomes a great product. So
Yeah, I think we can definitely talk about this subject in a way that's not like disrespectful to talent. I think
100%.
Bryce, why don't you maybe give some context and your thoughts, because I know you have to go. So why don't you go first and let us know what
Sure.
you're thinking.
Yeah, and I've got like a little bit of time. I got like 7 or 8 minutes before I get to my dinner. Okay, so I'm actually glad to have the opportunity to cover it again, because when it was Dan likes to keep the agrees hidden from me. He doesn't put them in the run of show so that I'm responding off the cuff. But this is one that I did not think we were going to go there, and I think that my answer was super mid on the show. So I'm glad to have another chance to really kind of delve into the topic. So first of all, I think that there's a bunch of reasons why the main broadcast for regionals and for worlds is something that has a lot of room for improvement. And casting is definitely not the only thing. But it is, I think, a meaningful part of it. And because I have been casting TFT basically since the inception of the game, I have a lot of opinions about that in particular. I don't have nearly as much opinion on like broadcast product as someone like Dan would, because he has so much more depth of experience and knowledge in that area. So for me, and I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think the more I've observed TFT broadcast, the more I feel strongly about this. I just think that there is, because TFT is purely a strategy game, there's no mechanics at all. I think that what your broadcast talent needs to optimize for is different than in a lot of esports or a lot of sports. Like when you're watching a sport, there is a physicality, like a size, strength, speed that is awesome to behold. And, when someone makes an amazing catch in football or scores an amazing goal in soccer or, has an amazing basket in basketball or whatever the sport is, there's something very tangible that you're watching. The athleticism is palpable. And so the broadcast talent brings that to life in addition to analyzing the sport itself. And I think the same is true in whether you're talking about like League of Legends or Counter-Strike or many other esports. There is a level of mechanical skill that is being expressed, and it's not size, strength, speed, but it's an equivalent in the gaming space that broadcast wants to bring to life. And I think an emblematic example of this is my favorite esports call of all time is Doa yelling Faker, "What was that?" when Faker outplays. There's no analysis whatsoever, right? But it is the perfect encapsulation of this moment that when anyone who was watching it live had the exact same experience as him of like, what the fuck? Like, what just happened? How is Faker still alive in this situation? Like, it just felt like such an easy situation for Ryu to take care of business. And Faker's outplays him so thoroughly that he wins. And Doa's call is the perfect call. But there is no analog for that in TFT. Right? Everything any player does to gain advantage in this game is happening with their brain. And so for me, I don't think that it's possible when you're talking about the ways in which the elite players are gaining edge on one another, like what is the actual skill expression happening in an event like regionals or worlds. I don't think it is possible for someone to bring that to life unless they can understand the game in the way the players are. And when I say that, I really mean at like an elite high challenger level. You should be able to hit challenger on command. Hitting challenger should not be a hard thing for you because like for me, I have almost no time to play TFT, right? I play like a couple hundred games a set. I like try to make all of my prep time as efficient as I can to like make it a reality. But but I have worked a lot on my fundamentals and my understanding of TFT such that getting to challenger is not a hard thing for me to do. And I think if you are not a person where you fall into that bucket, then you are literally incapable of analyzing the game that is being played before you at the level the players are playing it. And if you're not capable of game at the level the players are playing it in a game that is purely mental, then I don't think you should be on broadcast talking about it live during the games. Maybe there are exceptions to this, like maybe in a tri-cast format, you can bring in someone like, I think, Nick, you're a great example of this because I think you add enormous value to broadcasts. I really enjoy you simultaneously like know so much about player stories and help bring those storylines, like the storylines of the overall tournament and the things leading up to the tournament to life, while also being so deep in the data, and you're also so deep in the community that you understand a lot of the like different study groups and who's doing what where, and like some of these arcs like you're talking about. Like I didn't even know Robin was like, is Robin a choker? I don't know. I never actually even thought about that topic before. And so I think you could add an enormous amount of value. And maybe in a tri-cast, you could be on the broadcast and you could talk, you could use 20% of the airtime and the other casters could use 40 and 40, and that would actually work, right? So maybe it's possible, but in general, I feel like you need the overwhelming majority of the broadcast talent to be able to talk about the game that way in order to bring the game itself to life, because that's what will make it hype. Most of the viewers would like to see the game in that way. Most of the viewers would like to understand all the ways in which these players are getting edge against one another. And if you can't do that, then I think you're falling way short of what makes TFT exciting. This is at its core what makes TFT exciting. So I have a lot more thoughts, but that's like my high level thesis here. And we can unpack as much of that as you find interesting.
Yeah. First off, thank you, Bryce. That's like an amazing rundown of a lot of different stuff we can unpack. Sully, I feel like Bryce and I have taken up a lot of the airtime thus far. Do you want to respond to anything in particular?
Yeah, actually, I have a question for Bryce on that, because it's the thing that I haven't thought too much about. Do you think that, because we talked about this a little bit before on a different episode, the idea of like what can main broadcast improve and like what lines is it gunning towards? Do you think that changes at all, Bryce? And when the audience changes, like if main broadcast, let's say, was geared towards like newer players, do you think that that changes level to cast, or do you think it's still? Do you think that like a being really high level is still like way more valuable in that situation? Because I'm not sure either way. And you've always
I do think there's more audience for the like of this. I think that it's not very exciting for them to watch it. like if they don't understand some of the decision making on their own. And the job of the broadcast is to like bring more of that story.
Hey, Bryce, it actually is breaking up. Just letting you know, it is breaking up. I think I understand what you're saying though. I'm just while I have it, I think what you're saying is that the audience for hyper engaged or strongly engaged fandom in TFT is what we should be gearing our primary broadcast for, because that's what makes up a large amount of the viewership at this point in time. I think that's what you're saying. I don't know if. Okay, yeah. No, it's still breaking up. Actually,
it's a little. Yeah,
still robot.
But I think that makes sense, though. I mean, I think we talked last time about the idea of like maybe main broadcasts, like co-streams being like a better environment, and at least in their current state for higher level players, right? Like the Frodan co-stream is going to be a much better viewing experience for people who know what they're doing in TFT, generally speaking, because it's just more interesting content. There's like more insight, more to explore. But maybe that's what main broadcast should be. Is maybe the question we should be answering. Like maybe if most of TFT is like, is there? I guess maybe it's like how much space should we be making for like people who are brand new to TFT or like not amazing at TFT or not super invested in the competitive scene at TFT for watching stuff like Worlds? Like how much will that ever be something that they're interested in? Maybe.
So it's interesting because I feel like I don't agree with the premise, but I also, all right. I think I don't agree with the premise that the main broadcast should be a product catered to the hyper-engaged fan. But I also really agree with Bryce that having casters on a broadcast who have a very deep and rich understanding of the game that only a top player can have, I love, and the phrasing Bryce uses is perfect. I love that. Bringing the game to life, because that is a really important part in TFT broadcast that is probably not being served right now in the main broadcast, because I do agree that if you have challenger players analyzing the game, you will be able to understand whether someone is low rolling, whether someone has found an edge, whether someone misplayed in a way that I can't really speak to. Like I can give my opinion, but to be honest, like nobody should really trust if I'm saying that someone made a mistake. It's one of those things where like I could say someone's making a mistake, a GM player would have a different opinion, a low challenger player would have a different opinion, and then like Bryce is saying, it's the elite that would have an answer that I guess is more objective or whatever. I don't know, maybe objective isn't the right word. But I do think that, yeah, the idea of the game is brought to life when it's analyzed by people who understand at the highest level. That said, though, I personally believe there is a version of the main broadcast that could utilize the talent at its current capacity, like a talent on that's been shown on broadcast in the past few sets, and have a really very impactful, effective product for the casual or slightly engaged viewer, with the hopes that it would convert them into a highly engaged fan of the game. I think that the product, and I say this as someone who's extremely thankful to be on the broadcast, and I would never trash it in any capacity, but I think it was a huge miss in terms of what the product could be. I don't think it found an identity of trying to lean into how do we bring people into this community? How do we tell the stories of our players? How do we show people that this isn't a game of just luck, but we're able to show them that there is edge to be found. And if you want to really understand that edge, then you should become even more engaged in our scene, and that'll start to reveal itself to you. I think it has a lot of room for improvement, but I don't think that the premise of it needs to be for the hyper engaged fan is something I'm on board with.
So am I a robot still, or can you hear me?
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay, great. So this is great because I just got here, but I can kind of finish on this thought. So I completely agree with everything you just said. I think part of the problem with the main broadcast is it has an identity issue. It's not clear what it is and who is its core audience. And it's hard to kind of split the baby on this. Like if you want to bring newer folks along for the ride, then you can gear your whole broadcast towards that. But I think that it's a weird middle ground right now where it's we know for a fact it does not appeal to the hardcore TFT fan, right? Yeah. Like that is very clear.
For sure.
And there's a bunch of reasons why. So either you have to change it so that it does appeal to that part of the audience, or you shift gears and you go for more kind of early education part of the TFT journey. There's way more players out there that play TFT casually than there are hardcore players. The fact that the hardcore players make up a larger percentage of the esports audience right now does not mean that will forever be the case.
Yeah, I entirely agree with everything you just said. I think the difference that we have, Bryce, is that I do personally think the main broadcast should function as an entryway for the casual fan that is not engaged in the competitive scene yet. And I don't think that it should be offering value in the same capacity to an elite player of the game. I think that's the primary difference.
Well, so I get where you're coming from. I guess my take on that would be that I think that if you do, I think that it can be more exciting even for the casual viewer if you do bring the game to life in the way that I'm describing. And so for me, I think that you can, if you approach the main broadcast that way and you bring the casual viewer along for the ride, like explain the premise of your point, and then get super in the weeds and excited about like the nuanced positioning thing that someone did, or like the transition that someone pulled off, or whatever it is where they're finding their edge, I think that can even elevate it beyond and do more than just teach the kind of higher level like fundamentals of the game to a newer audience. I think you can make it like cool and exciting at a different level. That's what I really try to do. Like I get so excited, you know, I like the more I've gotten into TFT, the more I'm like happy with kind of I have this reputation that's a double-edged sword where I'm the glaze guy, but I'm also the person who's the most likely to like criticize someone on broadcast or flame them. And that's because I want both those things. Like I want, anytime someone does something super cool to gain edge in TFT, we should get excited about that. That's a cool fucking thing. It's really hard to get edge in TFT in these elite lobbies. And then simultaneously we can point out mistakes in a more aggressive way as well. So yeah, I don't know. Who knows? We're so early in the days of TFT broadcast. It's going to be so fun to see how all this evolves and where we go. But sadly, I have to run inside to this dinner. It was super fun talking with you all, and we should do it again soon.
All right, Bryce. Yeah, enjoy your dinner, man. All right, take care.
Bye.
All right, now Dahua, you're still here. This was your take to begin with. You're the one that wanted to hear this discussion happen. Is there any thoughts, anything you're coming away with right now that you want to bring up?
I'm not like I could. Please like correct me if you have a different opinion. But like I'm not sure even like Frodan stream is for like the super high level engaged player. And I don't know if Appies has any opinion on that, but like it's like when I listen to like high elo players, like I sometimes talk in like lab, like and I'm listening to Rain talk and like the analysis like that she can do, like when I'm like listening to her is like I like literally learn so much in like this really small time frame that like I didn't know, like I could play like 1,000 games and I just like would not know at all. And I don't even think Frodan stream even gets to that like level of analysis. Like, I think they actually do a pretty good job. Like they do like the bingos, stuff like that to keep like a casual audience kind of still engaged.
I think it's like a dual thing where I think as far as the French thing, where I think that it is geared towards super engaged players, or like it is maybe not necessarily geared towards, but like it is the place for super engaged player to be watching these broadcasts. Because for example, I don't think like you know what's top player talk about stuff is really cool. It's like definitely another level on top of that in terms of depth. I think that's not like the Frodan stream is like counting for entertainment more, I guess, entertainment value, right? Where it's like not just meant to be like, I think like when I say it's for like a super engaged player, like when anyone says it's for a super engaged player, it's more so that it's like a place where they can hang out, you know, enjoy it more casually, but still have things be like at a level, at like a higher level, or at like a more approachable level, or like not approachable per se, but like a more suited level where, you know, I think if there was a co-stream where it was like just players, you know, like players sitting around a table discussing every little minutia of every game, it would be cool. But I think there's like, I don't think there's room for that necessarily in terms of like a viewing experience. Like again, I think like in Discord calls and like in smaller and like friend groups, I think that's an amazing thing for sure. But I wouldn't say there's anything like that would ever really gain any traction in terms of like entertainment value. And I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong about that, right? But I feel like Frodan stream is like, it's like this, you know, it's like the hangout place for people who know what they're talking about, or no, I'm talking about like who like are more engaged or more invested. Again, I could be wrong with that too, but that's my take on spaces.
Go for it.
So I think I didn't get my point. Like what I was trying to say is I don't think like Frodan stream is even like I don't think it's pushing away casuals. Like, I think it does a lot of. I think it does a lot of stuff to even like keep them like I think what I'm trying to say is like I don't think the concepts they talk about are they don't ever like most people can understand them, especially when they're
Gotcha.
explained
So-
well. But I think again like it's just hard for me to like maybe I could just be wrong. Like I think it's like because I wouldn't consider myself like a low elo player, right? So,
No, I
like,
mean definitely not, right? Your
So-
GM challenger is like
yeah, but it's like I think they still do a good job. Like I think when you explain something, like when they explain stuff that's like thought out, like I still think like a plat player could understand. Like obviously I'm not sure they could like instantly implement that into some of their ranked the ranked games, but I think they could understand and they probably enjoy that type of analysis that's done when it's like Ramcav. I mean Ramblin and like Ferdinand kind of do that analysis during the game. So
I think it's very important to keep in mind that like you don't always know what you don't know, and it's hard to kind of understand how much value a new player would be getting out of that. Like you're saying, yeah, when I hear Rain explaining these things, like I take so much about it out of it. I can apply it to my own games. And it's like a new player may not feel the same exact way. And let me make it very clear. I think Frodan's stream is amazing, and I think it is probably the best viewing product for competitive TFT. That said, I genuinely believe that it is not even close to what the optimal product for a new viewer should be. And I don't think it should be the optimal product. I think Frodan does an amazing job with what he's doing. I think he makes it very fun to watch. He makes it high level, digestible. He makes it feel fresh with rotating talent. And Frodan himself is like the hardest working person in TFT, and nobody could ever dislike him. But I also think that the main broadcast could do an amazing job of, even to like give credit to the main broadcast. I want to call out the fact that in the regional finals pre-show, which I don't know how many people here watched it, I think we did a really cool segment where, and I guess to glaze myself, this is something I pitched. This is something I tried to get on for a few shows. We finally got it to happen for the regional finals where, before the day started, we went over buckets of players where I got to do a little like spiel on replay in the big three, or the players going into this event that are returning to form. And I did like a highlight of Pokygum, Ripple Overdrive, Spencer, and Degree. These players who have hit high highs but haven't found that. And we were able to talk a little bit about these players' stories in a very intentional, dedicated segment. Frodan is absolutely capable of doing that, but I don't think that he's planning on doing like a very dedicated segment in the future where he's talking baseline information about the players' identities, because a lot of the players who are going to watch this are familiar with these players' stories, at least enough to the point that they might be bored by hearing very basic information about these players. I think the main broadcast could do an amazing job of introducing new and casual players to the stories of our scene, to the heroes of our game, and in doing so, try to convert them into true fans that then go on to follow these players in their individual broadcasts in other co-streams. I know that was like kind of a lot, but that's I feel like the last thing we should really say about the topic, and then maybe move on to other stuff. But Dehu, is there any, I guess, last response you have?
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. I just like as a general question, what like is there like a target elo that the main broad tries to appeal to? Like, is it like plat level players, like diamond level, or is it even like lower? Is it like people who've played 10 games, right?
I imagine there's not, and that might be part of the problem.
Yeah,
That there's like no intentionality towards targeted audience, I guess. Unless I might be wrong with that, right? I'm not been part of
No, yeah, there's no like
that would be the case.
There's no like brand guideline
who
on who
right.
we should be talking to. But in a perfect world, I feel like there is it's probably, I don't know, what would you consider someone who plays TFT but is not super engaged? Like someone who plays 30 to 50 games a set? That's like a lot. That is a lot of TFT. Not a lot to someone who's trying to grind the game, but it's a lot for someone who is just playing this game on the side.
Like 20 or 30 hours, right?
Yeah.
Any game.
So I feel like
amount.
that's a reasonable target to me. Someone who's played 30 to 50 games of TFT, that's who the main broadcast should be targeting and figuring out how to convert them into players who start to follow the scene and become fans of the game at an esports level.
Yeah, I can see main broadcast becoming, a place to make TFT just look cool, right? Like I think that might
Yeah.
be the niche for, not the niche per se, but like the direction that can make it really cool. Is like, why do these, like you said, like player storylines, like what makes the, where they are in the community, like something that people don't touch on a lot. And this is true for, I think, even like that coach stream, for coach stream. So I think people don't touch on like play styles like at all. Or like during the broadcast, like when someone does something, no one, or like someone does something that someone thinks is unconventional, they're just like, oh, that's right or that's wrong or like whatever, right? But people don't talk about how much individuality is in TFT as a player, like how much of yourself you can put in the game. Which I think you can talk about during the game, and I think that could be part of that too. But anyways, yeah, I think there's a lot of room for cool stuff in TFT.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I know you want to finish.
No, it's okay. Honestly, we could talk about this topic in particular all night. I know. And I want to actually, you know what? This is a good time to make something clear, because I actually noticed a lot of, and this is not a Bryce problem. This is not like an issue that he caused or anything. This is something that is like a community sentiment. I noticed a lot of negativity toward the main broadcast at large. In I guess probably this set in particular, but I think just in general as co-streams have come up. And I think it's kind of created this us versus them sort of dynamic where it's like, oh, you either like the Frodan co-stream or you like the main broadcast, and only one of them is correct. And I think it needs to be very, very clear that they should be operating as two entirely separate products. And if the problem is that they're not distinct enough, then that's the issue. I don't think the failing should ever be that like they are competing against one another. I think people really need to consider that like they should both be great products working in tandem with one another. And I don't think they're doing that right now. But I think there is a world where it does become that. And I hope that the community sentiment around the main broadcast should be that this could be something that fuels our scene like we've never seen before. And I hope that people kind of take this conversation that we've been able to have tonight as like, I don't know, some fuel for feeling like this is something I want to believe in, even if it's something that I'm personally not going to enjoy. So, Duhua, anything you want to shout out before we let you go?
Not really. Shout out, all the homies. Yeah, that's basically it. So,
all right, man. Thank you so much for calling in. Appreciate the take. This was a great discussion. We'll catch you later.
Thank you for having me on.
All right, bye. All right, man.
Ooh, that was a good one.
That was a good one. That was like, I feel like we were on that for like half an hour, which I'm okay with.
We were, but it was worth talking about, though, right? That, I mean, in a lot of direction for that, anyways. That was good. I think that was fun to talk about. I mean, we can, if you want, we can finish talking about Worlds and just that, and then get into like set 10 overview. Like looking back, and that Milala won, NA did well. Degree top 8 did. Weird went 16th, which is like exactly middle of the pack, and then Dish Up did a little bit worse than that. Milala again, 1-1-1-1, what a beast. And Worlds, awesome. It was cool. I mean, I think there was, I will say there was only one EU player in the final lobby, so EU won Fraud Watch once again. Mm-hmm. But
China,
did well.
China is crazy. Once again, having 3 representatives in the top 8. There was and Japan and LATAM also making. I do love, this is something I talk
of each.
Yeah, and it's so funny, and I don't want me to derail or go too deep into the rabbit hole here, but I got to work with some of the casters on like segments and talking points for the broadcast. And one of the things that I pitched, I forget who, was this idea that the beauty of TFT that we've never seen any other esport is that it only takes one person in this game to put your region on the map. It does not matter where you are from or how big your country is or your local scene or how good your server is. If one player from your region is as good as the best players in the world, they will rise to the top. And I love that time and time again at the World Championship, we get to see LATAM and OCE and Japan and, whatever, all these regions that in other esports don't really get a spotlight. And I think it's something that's really unique in our scene.
Yeah, 100% agree. And actually, before we move on from Worlds, I think one thing we should talk about, and it's a good chance for you to plug your vlog, is you had a very cool experience with Worlds, right? You got flown out to Spain. You got to do some cool stuff. If you want to talk about that, I think that's about.
Sure. Yeah. And I will post my vlog in the chat right now as well. So I got to work on the World Championship. I worked with the social media team for Riot, worked along Flex. I talked a little bit about that at the top of the show. And I just, honestly, I made a bunch of like very silly, low lift, not super impactful videos, just making like little meme things and coverage. The one, I guess, like high effort piece was at the end of every day. I did a series called Who Would Win, where we broke down a fight that happened on that day. So for instance, there was like a Milala country game where he had some very questionable positioning. And then because of that, I think went 7th in a game that he definitely could have top forward. And it was cool. It was fun. That was like a nice series. It did make the days kind of long because I would like sit around looking for highlights and stuff, kind of just waiting to work. And then once the day ended, it was like the go button and just try and scramble and get stuff done. But no, it was a lot of fun. Going to the World Championship itself was, and I'm not exaggerating, it was a dream come true. It was one of the best weeks of my entire life. I was extremely emotional the entire time I was there. All of the casters are such good people and they love the game. And I was so excited to just even have a very small part in getting to, see the world broadcast production come together. I will say, and this is so fun, I got to workshop Clement. If you all know Clement, one of the casters, he's from Taiwan. Mm-hmm. He did a Telestrator
Notorious
segment.
Twitter god.
Yes,
well.
the best Twitter content creator on the face of the earth. And he did a Telestrator segment on a Milala play. And he and I got to workshop that together. I like pulled clips for him and we got to talk about each individual clip. And that was, it was so fun to see. And he nailed it. His segment was so good. But that was cool. Like stuff like that. I wasn't camera facing. I'm definitely not taking credit for like the segments that all the casters like put a lot of work into. But it was cool to just even be there to bounce ideas off of them or to give my opinion. And they were really receptive. They were really, really nice. So if you wanna take a look at my vlog, you'll see some more behind the scenes stuff of how the World Championship actually took place, what we all did just on our downtime. And I also have a couple scenes in there of like the caster, Casanova talking with Carlos, the director, about a storyline that he wanted to develop throughout the weekend and stuff like that. I think people don't always get to see how the casters add value to the broadcast outside of the actual production. So I think there's definitely some value in there for a lot of people. That's the spiel. Worlds was amazing. Sweet. I would 100% go back again in a heartbeat, and I had so much fun. So thank you, Riot and GG Tech, for letting me be a part of it. It was amazing. Oh, okay. So
Gangly for TFT president 2024.
I think I would lose that race to many, many people. But I think my bias. Yeah, exactly. That's true. I think I've locked in the Solus vote with my years of bias toward him. I've got one vote. Okay, so set 10 World Championship, North America wins, our second win ever, and now we can kind of take a step back and relive or reflect on what this set was. This was the first set that we've had without a mid set. So it was just 4 months, starting with Vegas, ended with NA, bookending the tournaments themselves with wins. But this was the set. When I think of you and your involvement in this set, this felt like the most into TFT you've been in a while.
Yeah, in my opinion, this set saved TFT, or maybe for me, this set saved TFT. I think we were on a streak, and this opinions differ person to person, right? Some people love set 7, some people love set 8, some people love set 9, but I have not been in love with the TFT set. I barely even liked TFT set, to be honest, since set 6. I think base set 9 I liked, but I have not been in love with TFT for a long time until set 10 came out, and it's just like, oh my god, it was so good. And I think it showed that I think they've been showing this anyways, but they're learning a lot set to set, right? They're making the game better set to set. And 2, like TFT has just so much room to grow and so much room to be like an absolutely amazing game. Set 10 was like the amount of skill expression and fluidity and you can have in your play and like the variance in play style, the different play styles that you could actually make work. And it was just the amount of decision points in a game compared to, set 9.5 where you click emblem on 2-1 and you just Demacia emblem your Demacia, Noxus emblem your Noxus, right? Like this set was just absolutely beautiful TFT. Like it was, and spoiler alert, set 11 is looking pretty good too. But set 10 was like the best TFT has been in a long time. I think it proved that TFT could be this good again, or could be as good as like, you know, the in my opinion, because again, some people love set 8 and 9, some people like that more than set 10. That's totally fine. That's your opinion. For me, and I think I represent a decent amount of, I think I look for something in TFT that is represented by a decent amount of player base, and that I look for creativity and fluidity and you know, enjoying the game through that, through like expressing yourself through TFT, right? And there are a lot of people who just like to, there are another large group of people in the community who just like to, you know, put together their comp and let it rip, or like, you know, commit on 2-1 and see how well they can optimize that line. There's certainly skill expression in that way to play as well, right? But at least for the way I appreciate TFT, the parts of TFT I find fun, this set was amazing. I think that's true for not just, you know, people who are competitive as well. For example, SPICYAPPIES, who has not played TFT since set 6, played so much TFT this set. She didn't get tired of hearing me talk about it. Like she fucking hated the set, or hated the set. I was just read everyone's comment. She loved the set. Like set 10 was so fun. Yeah. And that is, I think there's like, I think so. Letterman chat is saying that set 10 was pretty frustrating. I think that's true as a competitive casual player. I think if you're into TFT and like I think it's a very hard set to get good at if you're like into TFT, but you're playing ranked games and you're taking it relatively seriously, right? But it's tough. It was a hard set to get good at. But I think if you're like a very casual player, the music stuff, that's what drew in SPICYAPPIES, for example, is that the music changing on your board and stuff. Oh my God, dude, that was the coolest shit of all time. And people loved that. And I think it reflected in the general community, you know, reaction to the set. So I'm really happy with how set 10 went. And yeah, I think it put a lot on the table and it did well with it. And it tried a lot of new things and it did well with them. And it made me have a lot of hope for TFT again. It definitely made me love TFT again, which, you know, I talked to Nick a lot. I wasn't used to talking to Nick. I used to talk to you a lot at the beginning of the set about how I was like not sure where I was going to be in TFT. Wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was even looking at like other things to do job wise. But as soon as I like set 10 went to PvE and I started playing, I was like, oh my God, this set's so good. I decided I was gonna just go whole hog in set 10, right? Just gonna put everything I could into it. And God, am I happy I did, because I fucking love TFT and I love streaming TFT. And it's yeah, set 10 absolute masterpiece in my opinion. It made TFT really, really awesome again.
I feel like you didn't take the moment to put yourself on the pedestal, because this was also the set that you kind of were back in form, right? Like competitively, this was the best set you've had since set 6. You made regional finals again. Mm-hmm. You won the Soju tournament. You made top 16 at the KDA Cup, final day at the Heartsteel Cup. And yeah, I mean, regional finals was a tough event, but I mean, it's like, it's a really hard tournament. It's a really, really hard tournament. And, nobody is guaranteed to make it deep on that run, but this has to be, I mean, like, I feel like this is the set that where you got to show people like, no, I still got it. Like, just get rid of these dragons and these vertical comps and let me do something instead. I personally, I mean, obviously we're friends and so I'm biased, but like, I thought it was so sick that you actually got to play and cook and succeed when you put your mind back on TFT and like we're really invested. So I feel like you should take a moment to just like soak it all in, seriously, because this set was so good for you and you should feel really proud of yourself for how well you actually did do this set.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a bit of a sad ending to the set, which maybe is why I'm less focused on it. But yeah, I think I did do better than I've done in a long time in the set. I feel like I really was able to put a lot, you know, just like they put a lot on the table with the set. I think I put a lot on the table with my play this set, and I'm really happy with that. And I played some cool games this set. I don't know. I played some sick TFT.
Hisco.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, also same to you. You did so much shit this set in terms of broadcast. Like, I mean, the Vegas, you commentated for the first time.
I did.
I mean, like, dude, your resume also just like fucking exploded this set.
It was a big set for the two of us.
It was a Hyrule Radio set.
Yeah, no, that's true. Tyrol Radio kind of took over. Yeah, it was my first time actually casting. I didn't host at all this. I was actually only a caster, which was very, very strange. I will say I do love hosting because I feel like that is a little bit more where my strength is. I love talking about the game, but you know, there's people who can explain things much better than me, and there's people who know many more things than me. I will say, you know, I'm very proud actually of one game in particular at the regional finals where I casted with Necra. She and I had a block, which let me just say, we were like, are you guys sure? Are you sure you want it to be us on this cast? Like, is this a typo? Because we're the two, you know, I'm not bad at the game. I hit like 270 LP before I decayed, which is, you know, I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah.
That's very respectable.
Yeah. And I was climbing too. I was climbing. I don't know how much higher I would have gone. But anyway, this is the most I've known about TFT in a while, but I'm obviously not someone who's known for their game knowledge. People are not coming to me for whatever guides and
except for me
info.
and PvE asking you if Warden's good.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you are actually, interestingly enough, the person who asks for my opinion on TFT things the most out of anyone else I know, which is so funny because obviously you're.
I'm a knower.
Because you're a knower. Oh wait, no, you're saying. Oh, I say you're saying you're a knower because you know that what I'm saying is true.
I'm a knower that you're better at TFT than people think.
Oh, I see. Yeah, maybe that's the case. But anyway, the thing I wanted to say about this one game with Necra is that I was really proud of the fact that during the game, I was able to take a step back and like kind of take the audience in this moment of like setting up who I think it was Degree. We were talking about Degree. We were following him for a while, and then the PvE phase comes, and I was able to do this thing where it's like, let's just take a step back and understand who this Degree guy is for a moment, and kind of like walk the audience through his story on how he got here. Yeah. And I was like, man, that's the kind of stuff that I think I can add to the broadcast, and that gave me a lot of confidence because there were a lot of games this set where I was just like, why am I here? Like, this is just not my comfort zone. But that was cool, and I was really proud of myself for that one game. So, you know what? Hopefully, it's not the last time you'll all see me on broadcast. I would love to continue being able to do that. Won't be. But
I feel like you're like, Riot definitely loves you, and for good reason.
I've been very lucky. Yeah, Riot has been very, very kind to me just ever since I started in TFT. I like had this really sappy post on Twitter the other day about how just like it's been such a crazy journey since starting in TFT, and I'm really proud of a lot of the stuff I've been able to do. But honestly, and I mean this with great sincerity, if Riot did not, I guess, invest in me with just like asking me to do things for them or giving us funding for TC events or just like reaching out and saying, hey, we love your content. So many Rioters in the early days of my content would just message me on Discord saying like, hey, I think what you're doing in the scene is really cool. If I did not get so much encouragement poured into me from Riot in those early days, I do not think that I would still be doing this because it was definitely a very long stretch of doing it where it's like no one's watching my content. And even now, nobody watches my content except for like the top 100 players on the ladder and the Rioters, you know, but like my videos still have like 400 views when I upload. Like, why am I still doing this? And it's because there's so many amazing people in TFT that have just personally invested with just encouragement and feedback and stuff. So shout out to everybody. Cause I think I speak for Appies and I both, where this has been an amazing set for the two of us. It would not have been possible, and we would not be here doing this thing that we really love and that we're thankful for if we did not have the support of so many people in the community. So seriously, amazing set. We could not have done it without you, without what's our number? The 48 people watching this stream. Low reach, but high impact. That's right. These people, we don't stretch very far, but we stretch deep.
I mean, Nico said it best, right? And he said, Frodan's live, I'm out of here. So
that's right. That's just how it goes. So in the I guess in the big picture of sets, where would you put set 10?
I think I'd put it. So for a while I had this is in terms of balance. Balance or like how I guess you don't even just balance, but in terms of like how good I think the set was to play. I put it first for a long time, but I think after a lot of the like super fan stuff became more meta, and like the super fan like Zed meta moved in, I started putting it second. I think that's where I'd put it overall. I think for me, it's like base set 6, then set 10 for sure. But I mean, it's like really close. And as far as like overall in terms of like what it did for me as a person, as a player, and as like I like everything. It is what it did for my life. I think set 10 was equally impactful as set 6, right? Because I think set 6 is where I started to be able to like really make streaming a thing, and like where I really started to do better with that. And then set 10 is like where it kind of revived and like brought a lot of the passion back. And really, yeah, set 10 is fucking awesome. I like set 10 a lot. But about you? You said you put it number 1, right?
I think number 2 behind set 6 as well. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm actually on the same exact wavelength as you. Set 6 was so good. 2 is like has a special place in my heart because it's just where I got started in the scene. I don't know if you knew this, but I played in Fight Night in set 2. I was a berserker one trick.
Wait, no, what's the story? I don't think I've heard this before.
It's actually, I feel like it's been so many episodes since I talked about
I might as well give a refresher for people who
we'll
not
save
caught
it.
up.
We'll save it for another day. But set 2 has a special place in my heart. 5.5 has a special place in my heart because it's the highest I ever climbed. I still have, I don't know. I know I definitely have talked about this on the podcast, but in Vegas, Honey Bear, if anyone who knows who that is, Honey Bear gave me this Pokemon card of
I got
me.
one too.
Oh yeah, you got one too. He made
Yeah.
us these Pokemon cards, and it has my highest LP, 572. Not a bad number on its like, I don't know I'm assuming that's like a power level thing in a Pokemon card.
That's the HP.
Oh, the HP. Yeah, really cool stuff. And
Oh my god,
so,
mine uses Kisahomie it does 69 damage. I didn't even notice that.
Kisahomie, that's great. That's so you. Mine is Tactician's Crown for my ability.
Oh,
yeah, it's
see.
fitting. It's fitting. Yeah. So anyway, I think like those 4 sets, 6, 10 to 5.5 are my top 4. All of which are the sets that I by far enjoyed the most. I'm trying to think. 4.5 I also liked. I know people liked base 4 more than 4.5, but
Yeah, it's funny is on my card, the highest LP was 1750, which was in 4.5.
Was it
even though I
really?
really dislike 4.5. I don't really dislike, but I think 4.5 is like not even close to my favorite set of all time.
1750.
But like it was definitely the highest LP I ever was, which is weird.
Which is funny because it wasn't until essentially 2 full or another set and a half that you actually came to power in North America as like a tournament threat.
Yeah, as president of the United States. Yeah,
That's right. Wait, so did you compete in set 4? I actually don't know this.
Did
you like play it? That LP?
Yeah, I think I competed. I was almost qualified for regionals in set 4. I was one slot off. If Kiting didn't play in regionals, I think I was going to.
Oh, okay.
Because he didn't play the whole set, but he qualified from like base set 4 or something. And I got like a bunch of LP from snapshots or something. But yeah, I did technically, but like I wasn't very good.
I see.
I was like really not good in tournament. I was like very nervous in tournament, and like that's like we can have a whole episode about that if we want one day, or how shitty I was in tournaments for multiple sets while I couldn't figure out how to compete. But maybe not. It
is funny. Like I feel like we won't go too into the rabbit hole, but it is very clear just as a viewer, because I started watching you at the end of set 5 when you were doing the podcast with Riley and Kevin, that set 6 100% like just something unlocked in you. And I still remember leading up to the Piltover Cup, the first tournament of set 6, knowing full well, and especially at this point in time, I'm like head down in like tournament results will indicate the future. Like, and I am fully aware of the fact that you, up to this point in time, have only performed poorly in tournaments. I don't think you ever placed even like top 32 at a tournament before.
No,
and
not once.
I remember this confidence in you, thinking like, man, this guy's actually going to do something. And then you make it to the final day of the Piltover Cup. And I remember actually messaging Crowan and Admirable, who were casting the Challenger series, telling them like, oh yeah, this Appies guy has like this really cool storyline that you might want to bring up because he's always been like really poor in tournament, but this time around, like you should look out for him because he's on the up and up. So yeah, set 6 was a beautiful time.
It's
Yeah,
like
maybe
TFT memory lane.
I know. Maybe one day we will do like a deep dive on.
We should do that.
That
like
would be
TFT retrospective.
I would love
Just
that.
like, that'd
We
be
could talk
really
about
fun.
all the tournaments that we've each competed in. I can have an
Like
entire
Fight Night in set 2, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard about this, but
Or what was the one we did one
the
recently?
team-
What
the
was it?
4-4
It was
team
the 4-4,
tournament?
right?
The
Yeah.
yeah. The
Something happened in that though. What was it?
exclamation point Olaf in
Oh,
chat.
I just saw Olaf in chat. You were the one who did exclamation point Olaf.
I mean, it's
You're-
an important.
You're incriminating yourself.
It's an important memory for everyone to have. If you're listening on the podcast, then
That will forever
I don't
go
know what to
down
tell you.
as, like top 5 favorite moments in TFT for me. No matter like it will always have a place in top 5. It was like the second we all realize it is the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. When we always go, like Kevin just goes, "Whoa!" And the Juki is like, "What the fuck?"
And the fact that like up to that point in time, I'm just like straight inting in the entire tournament. I'm like 8-6-8, and then have like this god moment in stage 1, and it's like, this is my redemption.
Things that could happen when you were going to talk shit.
I know.
It's poetic. It's like the perfect
really
timing on
is.
everything. It's so good. It's so good.
Okay, so we've got like 15 minutes before it's 9:30. That's like hour and a half where we normally
Set
really
11.
want to try to cut it off. Yeah, so let's take 10 minutes now and talk about set 11. I'm trying to think, was there anything else we really didn't talk about in set 10? I feel like that's probably everything. So yeah, let's
I think
talk
we're
set
good.
11.
Yeah.
So
I told you, I will go on record, I told you, and I might eat my words eventually, but I told you that I think set 11 has the potential to be better than set 10.
yep, I remember that you did
And
tell
I
me
stand
that.
by that. I think it's really cool. I think it has cool units. I mean, if you've ever seen Kaisa's animation, she's a forecaster cast animation
so
is the
sick.
coolest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Agreed.
Yeah, it has. I mean, so far the trait web seems pretty good. No chose is definitely going to take some getting used to, but like the encounter system is really cool. Adds a lot of like very manageable. I say manageable variance. It has a lot of variance, but it's variance that like doesn't. I don't think it takes away from the skill expression of the game. I think it, in fact, even maybe adds skill expression in terms of having to react to things and like play on the fly, play by the seat of your pants. You know, it's kind of what I'm into. So, I think it's gonna be really cool. And I could be wrong, right? I think balance right now on it is not the best. Warden.
Dude,
But I'm
Appies
convinced
and
Warden's
I.
broken.
All right, let me just
Mostly Nick. He figured it out mostly.
Yeah, totally me. Yeah, absolutely. It's me, Mr. Techman, Heimerdinger himself over here. Appies and I played some PvE games on his stream today, and let me just say, my experience today was playing Fortune, losing in a galaxy or in a portal where you take +1 player damage every loss. I'm playing Fortune on stage 2. I lose like 40 HP. I'm like 60 HP, and then I cash out. I cash out after 5 losses, and I get 1 gold. I get
It's
1
bugged.
gold because it's bugged, and
And
nobody
no one told
tells me. Nobody tells me. They're just taking their free wins, and so I go 8th.
Wait, did you go 8th that game?
No, I think I went 7th because
That's
there was
dumb.
an AFK player
Yeah.
or something like that. I forget. Wait, did I play 2 games or 3 games? 2,
We
right?
played 3 games. Yeah, I think we played 3 games together.
Wait, I
You
played.
played 2 Kindred games and the Fortune game.
Oh
I think.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly.
You're addicted to Kindred.
And then yeah, exactly. And then I played. Oh, actually, the other 2 games were top 4s. My strategy for learning the set. And maybe this is the tech, but my strategy is I'm only re-rolling. I want to re-roll every unit in the game. Well, I mean, like up until, the higher cost, because I just have no idea what's going on. And I can't even think about building horizontal trait webs right now. I just need to figure out what the units are doing. And I don't have the mental capacity to try and go.
I feel you though.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. It's hard to learn a new set of TFT.
It's so hard, especially after, like this set. I haven't been taking it like super seriously yet. I've just been relaxing more or less and kind of just having fun with it as I play on stream and not doing too much with it after stream. But it wasn't until today, after like a week of playing, where I finally started like, okay, this just started to make sense to me. And like these things go with those things. This is like I'm not even. I feel like on PB in set 10, I already had like a really good idea of how strong every single unit was in my mind and like what things I liked and like this set I'm like Rakan go Burr and that's it.
Yeah.
Like Warden go Burr and besides that I'm still a little lost on what's actually really good and like I got destroyed by boards that I just had no idea I get destroyed by today and that's it's part of the learning experience, but it is a thing that's going to be very tough for you if you don't do it like very intentionally or like even often, or like I think with TFT, and I think this is the damning part about being trying to play TFT, trying to compete in it when you're not either one doing it full time or two, it's like the only thing you do outside of your job, is that if you are trying to beat TFT and you don't think about TFT constantly, if some part of your brain is not constantly thinking about TFT, you lose it.
Yep.
Like you lose it very quickly.
Dude, I feel that 100%. Yes. When I tried playing it, after I decayed in set 10, I decayed, and then I think I bought forward like 7 games straight after trying to play again. And obviously I think it changes for some people. Like maybe it's a little bit different if you're like, you know, if you're playing 1,000 games a set, but I think I can speak for like this is the most I've played. I played like 200 something games, which is a lot of TFT.
Yeah, that's a lot of TFT for you.
Yeah, but like
just in general, but
even then though, yeah, like if you take 2 weeks off the game, all of a sudden like it's gone. It is really gone. Yeah. So I feel that, especially in the early days of PBE too, like taking a weekend off where you're trying to learn the game, everything is brand new to you, you come back, it's not there anymore. It's all
the intuition it's like a consistency thing. Or like you have to keep it in there, otherwise the intuition just like starts fading away. At least in my experience, right? And it makes it tough, and that's why like that's why I'm taking like the PBE a little bit easier right now, because I know that once the set starts, once Box Boot Camp and stuff starts, I'm gonna have to be locked in so hard for like 18 hours a day that I'll just relax a little bit, play some Elden Ring, get mad at that instead. But yeah, it's tough, especially with new sets, because you have to like with PBE cycles and getting a new sets, you have to like that intensifies, right? You have to do that like even more to keep it actually like start figuring things out.
Yeah, it is like, so now we're in this 3 sets a year cycle too, right? Where it's like every 4 months you have to start from scratch. Man, I will say, I don't know. Brutal. Like, I don't know how many sets I'm going to try and be as, I don't know if I can do what I did in set 10 again, which I know like the amount I played was not as much as a lot of people, but like, man, it takes a lot of time to be up to date on all things TFT, and to do that and then like try and do like, you know, content or stream or whatever. Like, because I would even say like streaming, yeah, you're playing a lot of games, but also it's like your mental like
it's not
investment.
Quite as locked in.
It's not there. Like you can, I am sure there are days where you play an entire day of TFT and then you are like, I don't know what I did today. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. So it's a hard game. It is mentally taxing. And I think that the 3 sets a year is going to be even more taxing for a lot of people. I'm curious to see if, because of that, we actually see like a higher turnover on like who's making it to regional set over set. Because I think there is an opportunity for like the fresh young minds who are not exhausted from learning things constantly to just like swoop in.
I think you set off will probably be a real strategy, right?
For sure.
Rest and then, I mean, although I might even be considering that like still streaming sets, but like maybe competing one set, taking a set off competition wise, competing next set. Like, it's not a bad idea for staying fresh for sure.
Yeah, I think it's always like the tough part is that it's always tied to like, you know, I am sure there's a correlation between viewership and performance
100% and like
right?
stuff.
So
yeah, I think once you reach a certain threshold, it's not as impactful, but especially as you're starting to stream, like if you do well in a tournament. I remember having a conversation about this with like Kerm or someone in a Discord call with like a bunch of people as Nature's was running down a set. I think it's like a esports part of a set, and I was like, yeah, viewership actually does, especially when you're starting to grow, like when you're like that like 50 to like 100 viewer range, like if you do well in a tournament, that it has meaningful impact on your streaming career.
Okay, so we're looking forward to set 11. Thus far seems like a lot of fun. I've got a lot of work to do to catch up. Sully's just spamming wardens and taking his free top 2 without having to think is fine, whatever. I'm not mad about it. I'm not
going to play it at all until it goes live now, so that doesn't get nerfed.
Dude, I will say, I want to be on the record here. I'm pretty sure my board today might have beaten yours. My Sivir reroll. I honestly think I would have beaten you, but I could not beat the duelist player.
$10,000 on you not killing my Amumu.
No. But I think but I'm telling you, man. 15 seconds into that fight and nobody is dying. It's crazy. I'm telling you, my board is crazy. Sivir Garen reroll is gonna be a thing.
I'll believe too.
It was wild.
You would have cleared the floor with me. 100%.
Oh, I would have cleared. Yeah, I just needed someone to kill Slappy. I needed that duelist
Cleared
board
the
out of
floor,
there.
wipe the floor.
Wipe the floor.
I do that with we're talking about how I have verbal dyslexia, and I do that with like sayings too. The other day I said like what is it, like ducks in a row or something? That I messed up that with the terminology too. I just like used the wrong. I said something about like ducks in a basket or something.
Yeah, like eggs in a basket, ducks in a row kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Like eggs in a row, ducks in a basket.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah.
Okay, there were two things that I wanted to talk about before we wrap up officially for the show. Just a couple housekeeping. There we go. Housekeeping things. Number one, I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that there's a pretty big change coming to the competitive circuit. They announced it after the World Championship that it's not North America anymore. Like we didn't even talk about this. TFT North America is now the Americas, with the inclusion of North America, LATAM, and Brazil all in one large region. We don't have specifics yet on what that's actually going to look like in terms of the competitive circuit, which will be interesting because even those regions have like sub leagues that they do as well. So I feel like there's actually a lot of infrastructure, and I'm curious to see how they unify all of it. I'm assuming
weird, yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming we're gonna get more details in the next week or two. I guess we have to but probably hopefully by the time it goes live. I feel like we don't always get format stuff right away, but I hope that because of how much of a change this is, they are proactive.
I think we're gonna get it. I'm not gonna tell you why I think this, but I think we're gonna get it by the 21st of March.
By the 21st of March, okay. All right, well, you heard it here first. Inside trader Spicy Appies says 21st of March.
It's intuition. It's a feeling I have.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm down. The other thing, I feel like there's not much else to say about that except the fact that it's happening. We'll wait to get more details. The other thing I wanted to announce, if you have not seen it on Twitter or in various Discords, there is a new TFT LAN happening. May 11th.
Yes.
Tri-State versus Toronto, 8-on-8 crew battle. The best two regional, local regions on the East Coast battling it out to show who has the deepest pool of players. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Yep, that's right.
I don't know why I said that, but I did.
So each region is going to be inviting 4 players and then hosting either online or LAN qualifiers, however we want to do it, to find out the other 4 players. For Tri-State, I still have no idea how we're doing the qualifiers yet. I did have this one idea though. I had mentioned this to Sully earlier about having like a pre-event local on May 10th, the night before. Mm-hmm. I was thinking, look, what if we did this thing where like we qualify 3 players online leading up to it, but then we have like a last chance qualifier the night before the tournament where we determine who the final player is, and it's just like the thing is, it's
just like in someone's basement, like a
no. It would be at Brooklyn. At Brooklyn, it would be a LAN event to determine. We can
pretend it's someone's basement.
Sure, yeah,
it's like Thug Finals.
No, but I also really. I feel like it would be kind of hype if like the final really cool. spot is determined in like the last game in the final lobby and everyone's seeing it on LAN.
So cool.
Yeah, the thing is like we'd have to do some sketchy format because it would be like a Friday night, which means we couldn't start that early because we'd want people to be able to come after work, which means like
1 game takes it all.
Yeah, it'd be like a 4-game thing, and that does not feel great to cut from however many to 1 after 4 games. So I don't know, we'll see. But the event's going to be hype.
Worth it still though, honestly, just because how happy it would be.
Yeah, maybe it's worth it. I know Joe Bookmark really wants us to do a LAN qualifier.
He's also excited for that.
He lives like right really by pumped. I don't know. I don't want to dox him. He lives in Brooklyn. That's still doxing him, I guess, but whatever.
You've gone too far. You can't backpedal that one.
Asa says down to send Gangly. I'm not lying. If we did a pre-event local, I would 100% enter. I would love to send myself.
Imagine you win the last spot and then you can talk about the fight night in that. That'd be so down.
I would love that. Oh man. Dude, people don't know I'm like kind of a tournament god. The 4v4 tournament was a fluke. I'm telling you. I
still don't think you did that badly in that, by the way.
Dude, I was the worst performing player out of like 32 people. I went 8-7, 8-5.
You're in your own head.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, there are people saying ask Gangly about Fight Night. That's the lore. That's the deepest lore. Anyway, Tri-State versus Toronto. Tactics Fight Club is the name of the event. You can find more details about it on the Tri-State Tactics Discord or on my personal Twitter. We're also we're gonna have a merch line coming out to just like help raise support for the event,
Out
and
of
all that.
curiosity, just for the lore, why Toronto versus Tri-State?
Oh, so that's an important question. Yeah. So Tri-State and Toronto are the only two regions right now in North America that are building or that are hosting land and are treating their region as like regional pride. There was the calculated loss land on the West Coast, but I will say it's not like they're branding themselves as like West Coast TFT or like where was it? Was it in LA or like even like LA
It was
TFT?
something like that, yeah.
It was very much like this is a West Coast LAN, but I don't think it really had like the same kind of regional pride that like Toronto and Tri-State are doing. Also don't even remember who actually approached who. I feel like I should know this. If I had to guess, I would say it was probably Tristan from Toronto that came to me with the idea. I actually have no idea. I've already forgotten. But whatever it is, the fact that like
the centers of regional pride.
Yeah, exactly.
Are clashing.
They're doing all their watch parties. They just hosted their first LAN, the Little Buddies event, which was really fun. And we've obviously done like the TC stuff for so long. So it just makes sense. And I hope that this is not the end. I hope that we do this and then other regions want a piece. I know Boises and Asa were saying like, oh, this is so cool. We want to play the winner, which I let me just say, maybe you can play the loser. And if you do well enough, you can take a shot at the king. Because Tri-State doesn't play with peasants, baby.
The gauntlet has been thrown down.
So anyway, we'll see. I hope that this event happens, people love it, and then we get to see like Pacific Northwest and Midwest and Southeast. I feel like the Southeast is not normally like, it's like the only part of the US that doesn't actually consider themselves like a region. I feel like no one talks about like, oh yeah, like, oh, we're Southeast. Like, no one's ever said that before, right? Right?
For good reason. They're Southeast.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I'd love like to see more regions pop up, and then we start doing these show matches. Because I think it's a really
New
fun
England
format.
clears. High
Dude,
key.
New England
You got
would be
players.
Yeah, I mean you got you, Kevin,
Kevin.
Ramkev for anyone who doesn't know who Kevin is. Yeah, we know top players.
Other
No big
Kevin.
deal.
Preston.
Yeah, it's true. Other Kevin. I'm sure there are many more.
Right?
Do you think you're the best player in New Hampshire?
I think I'm the only player in New Hampshire.
Maybe you're right.
Oh, just in general, I think I'm the only person from New Hampshire that like plays TFT at a really high level.
Yeah, you might be right. I would love. I want a
block.
map. I want a map of the U.S. Yeah, no, well, I just want like a map of the U.S. that has the name of the best player from each state. You know, I think that'd be pretty cool.
That would be cool. I'm sure there's some states that don't have like a ton of people actually playing TFT at all. It'd be cool to see like Bazanka be the best player in New Jersey.
You know, I used to think that when I played Melee, I always thought like, man, what if I just moved to like to like Utah or something? What if I just moved to somewhere where there was no good players and I was just a god among men and I was number one on the PR, but I sucked at the game? Okay. Like, man, I'm hosting down.
New Hampshire LAN just so I can feel good about myself. There you go.
You should. I one time attended a super small local for Melee called Smash at the Library, and it was me and a bunch of people who do not play Melee very well, and I cleared, and they thought I was so sick. It's the only time I've ever won money from a Melee tournament. It was so amazing. But yeah, let's go. Shout out to boosting your own ego.
Facts.
Shout out to the people. All right.
What about Fight Night, by the way?
What'd you say?
I said, what about Fight Night, by the way?
What about Fight Night? Yeah. One more time. No, don't worry. One day we will. We'll do a retrospective on our careers one day.
That'd be fun.
Okay.
That'd be so
anyway, fun. I feel like this is man, I love these vibe episodes. It's so fun to just like chill. I think they're probably.
We haven't talked in so long too because you've been busy and I'm busy. It's nice to just have a chance to like catch up as well. We also we're accomplishing something at the same time.
we also didn't even have like a long pre-show. Like sometimes we like hop on at like 7:30 and we like talk and then we say the same things on the broadcast, like on the show itself. This time it was like pretty close. We actually were just like unloading weeks worth of catching up in a podcast. That was nice. Let's do some final thoughts, shout outs before we end the night. Why don't you go for it?
Yeah. Big shout out to anyone who supported Hyrule Radio or my stream or anything or Gangly. and all his endeavors as well in set 10. You guys are the goats. You're why we're doing what we're doing, why we're able to keep doing what we're doing. Yeah, really appreciate it. I mean, here's to a good set 11. Here's to a great set 11. Fuck yeah. Here's to High Roll Radio having an even better set 11 than it had set 10. And we had a pretty good set 10.
We had a very good set 10. Yeah, on that same train of thought, shout out to everyone in TFT that watches our content, supports our stream, chats with us on Discord. It's like, I know we've said this so many times, but it's such a cool thing in TFT that like we're just people. It feels like we're just people and we're all just so connected to each other, and there's no platform dividing us as community members. And Vegas was like the perfect example of that, being able to meet everyone in person. And then for the two of us to have this really cool journey in set 10, reaching new heights and experiencing new things and just loving the game and the scene and being able to pour ourselves into it in a way that we haven't been able to do for a long time was really cool. So shout out to the people who make this possible. Shout out to Sully, Oh,
also shout out to you.
Yeah,
yes,
man.
obviously.
Shout out to each other.
Sorry, shout out to my cat. It's his birthday today.
Yeah,
shout out to the dog that I
Maurice.
yet to get on Friday.
Shout out to all the animals.
Make TFT a much happier, enjoyable place for both me as well as the community at large. So
yeah, here's to a fantastic set 11. Thank you everyone for the support through set 10, but we're just getting started. It's only going to get better.
Oh, yeah.
So that is going to do it. I feel like we talked about a lot of things today, but this was a fun one. Yeah, you did. You waved.
I waved too early. I did it too early.
Thank you everyone for watching High Roll Radio episode number 22. That's going to do it from us. Have a good night. Be good. We'll catch you next time.